Stop. For the next few minutes, forget everyone who told you that you are not enough. Forget the people who walked away. Forget the failures. Forget the rejection. Forget the days when you looked in the mirror and wondered why you had not become the person you promised yourself you would become. Because the truth is simple. You are not weak because life has hurt you. You become weak when you allow that pain to decide who you will become. There is a stronger version of you waiting on the other side of discipline. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Today. Welcome back to Inner Steel, the channel where we build discipline, emotional strength, self-respect, and a mind that does not collapse every time life becomes difficult. And if you are serious about becoming mentally stronger, subscribe to Inner Steel now, because this channel is for people who are tired of making excuses and ready to take control of themselves. Today, we are talking about something uncomfortable. Stop being weak. And understand what I mean. This is not about becoming cruel. It is not about becoming emotionless. It is not about pretending you do not care. It is not about bullying people, suppressing your feelings, or acting like nothing hurts. Strength is something deeper. Strength is feeling fear and moving anyway. Strength is being disappointed without destroying yourself. Strength is being rejected without begging someone to choose you. Strength is being alone without becoming desperate. Strength is being insulted without immediately losing control. Strength is failing without deciding that you are a failure. Strength is getting knocked down and refusing to build a home on the ground. Your life will test you. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Money will disappear. Relationships will change. Some people will leave without giving you the explanation you wanted. Some opportunities will pass you by. There will be mornings when you do not feel motivated. There will be nights when you question yourself. And there will be moments when quitting will feel easier than continuing. That is exactly where your strength is built. Not when everything is easy. When everything is difficult. So listen carefully. Because if you apply what you hear today, you will not simply become tougher. You will become harder to manipulate. Harder to discourage. Harder to distract. Harder to break. 1. Stop making excuses. Weakness often begins with a sentence that sounds harmless. I couldn't. I didn't have time. I wasn't ready. Nobody helped me. My circumstances were different. I'll start tomorrow. Sometimes those statements are true. But if you repeat them long enough, they become a prison. You stop looking for solutions because you become addicted to explanations. And there's a massive difference between explaining your circumstances and using your circumstances as permission to remain where you are. A strong person does not deny reality. A strong person accepts reality and asks, what can I do from here? Imagine two people losing their jobs on the same day. The first person goes home and says, this is unfair. Nobody understands how difficult my life is. There is nothing I can do. The second person goes home, sits quietly, opens a notebook, and writes down 3 things. What do I have? What can I learn? What can I do tomorrow morning? The second person may be just as afraid. They may have less money. They may have fewer connections. They may have the same problems. But their mindset is different. They are not asking life to become easier. They are asking themselves to become more capable. That is strength. There was a man who spent years saying he wanted to change his life. Every Monday he would promise himself that this week would be different. He would exercise. He would read. He would work harder. He would save money. He would stop wasting hours on his phone. Monday came. He was motivated. Tuesday came. He was tired. Wednesday came. He had an excuse. By Friday, everything was back to normal. One day he became tired of hearing himself talk. He took a sheet of paper and wrote, "Nobody is coming to rescue me." That sentence hurt. But it also liberated him. Because if nobody was coming, then he had to become responsible for himself. He stopped waiting for motivation. He started waking up at the same time. He started exercising even when he did not feel like it. He began learning a skill. He stopped announcing his plans. Months later, people started noticing that something had changed. But the biggest change was not visible. He had stopped negotiating with himself. That is what you must do. Stop asking yourself whether you feel like doing the work. Ask whether the work needs to be done. Your feelings are allowed to exist. But they do not have to become your commander. You can be tired and still keep your promise. You can be afraid and still take the step. You can be uncertain and still begin. You can be disappointed and still continue. Your circumstances may explain where you are. They do not have to determine where you finish. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," pause. Ask yourself, "Can I really not, or do I simply not want to experience the discomfort required?" That question will expose you. And it will also strengthen you. Because every time you do something difficult, instead of making an excuse, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. Stop making excuses. Start making decisions. 2. Control your emotions before they control you. Your emotions are real. But they are not always accurate. Anger can make a small problem look enormous. Fear can make an opportunity look dangerous. Jealousy can make another person's success feel like your failure. Loneliness can make you return to people who repeatedly hurt you. And desperation can make you accept things you would normally reject. This is why emotional control is one of the greatest forms of strength. Imagine someone sends you a disrespectful message. You read it. Your heart beats faster. Your mind immediately begins constructing a response. You want to destroy them with words. So you type. You send. And 5 minutes later you regret it. But the message is already gone. You cannot pull it back. You cannot control what happens next. This is how people lose years of peace, because they could not control 5 seconds of emotion. A stronger person creates space between feeling and action. They feel the anger. They breathe. They wait. They ask, "If I respond now, will I respect myself tomorrow?" That question can save you from countless mistakes. There was once a man who worked under a manager who constantly criticized him. One afternoon, the manager embarrassed him in front of several coworkers. The man felt humiliation rising inside him. His first instinct was to argue. But instead, he became quiet. He finished his work and went home. That night, he wrote down everything he wanted to say. The next morning, he read it again. He realized half of it came from anger. So he removed the insults. He removed the accusations. He kept only the facts. Then he calmly requested a private conversation. He explained what happened. He explained how it affected his work. And he asked for a more respectful way of handling disagreements. The manager listened. The situation did not magically become perfect. But the man had done something important. He had refused to allow someone else's behavior to control his behavior. That is emotional strength. You do not become strong by never feeling anger. You become strong by refusing to become anger. You do not become strong by eliminating fear. You become strong by refusing to let fear make every decision. You do not become strong by pretending you do not care. You become strong by caring without losing yourself. When you feel overwhelmed, slow down. When you feel angry, pause. When you feel desperate, wait. When you feel rejected, do not immediately chase. When you feel jealous, examine what the emotion is trying to teach you. Your emotions are signals. They are not always instructions. Learn the difference. Because the person who controls their reaction controls the moment. And the person who controls enough moments eventually controls the direction of their life. 3. Stop needing everyone to like you. One of the weakest positions you can live from is, "What will they think about me?" You cannot build a powerful life while constantly asking for permission from people who do not have to live your life. Some people will dislike you because you said no. Some will dislike you because you changed. Some will dislike you because you stopped entertaining their disrespect. Some will dislike you because your discipline reminds them of what they are avoiding. And some people will dislike you for reasons you will never understand. Let them. You do not need to be universally accepted. You need to be able to respect yourself. A young man once spent years trying to impress everyone around him. If his friends wanted to go somewhere, he went. If they wanted him to spend money, he spent it. If they mocked someone, he laughed. If they criticized his ambitions, he lowered them. He thought he was being a good friend. But secretly, he was terrified of being rejected. One day he received an opportunity to move to another city for work. It was exactly what he had been hoping for. But his friends told him he should stay. They said he was becoming too serious. They told him he would probably fail. He almost rejected the opportunity because he wanted their approval. Then his father said something that changed him. "They are giving you advice about a life they will not have to live." He accepted the opportunity. It was difficult. He struggled. He made mistakes. But eventually he became proud of himself. Years later he understood something. If he had stayed, everyone might have been happy with him. Except him. Do not make that mistake. There is a difference between being considerate and being controlled. You can respect people without obeying everyone. You can listen without surrendering your judgment. You can love people without abandoning yourself. You can be kind without being available to every demand. Learn to say no. Learn to disappoint people. Learn to walk away from conversations that destroy your peace. Learn to stop explaining every decision. Your life is not a public vote. You do not need everyone's approval. You need your own conscience to be clear. Because eventually, the crowd goes home. The opinions disappear. The noise becomes silent. And you are left alone with the person you became. Make sure that person is someone you respect. 4. Do hard things on purpose. If you always choose the easiest option, your ability to handle difficulty becomes weaker. Comfort is not evil. Rest is necessary. Peace is valuable. But a life built entirely around comfort creates fragility. You need resistance. You need challenges. You need moments when your body says stop and your mind says continue. A person who never trains their discipline should not be surprised when discipline disappears during a crisis. Think about physical strength. You do not become stronger by lifting nothing. You create resistance. You struggle against it. Your muscles adapt. The same principle applies to your mind. Do difficult things. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you started. Exercise when you would rather stay in bed. Read when your phone is calling you. Have the uncomfortable conversation. Save money instead of spending it impulsively. Work on your goals without applause. Spend some time alone without entertainment. These small difficulties build something inside you. A man once decided that every morning he would take a cold shower. The first morning was miserable. He stood there staring at the water. His mind offered dozens of reasons not to do it. But he stepped in. 30 seconds. Then 1 minute. Then 2. The shower did not transform his life. The decision did. He had taught himself. I can do something uncomfortable without obeying the voice telling me to stop. That lesson eventually moved into other areas. He became more disciplined at work. He stopped procrastinating. He began exercising. He stopped quitting whenever progress became slow. The cold shower was never the point. The point was keeping a promise when nobody was watching. You need that. You need evidence that you can trust yourself. Every time you do what you promise yourself, self-respect grows. Every time you repeatedly break your promises, self-trust weakens. So start small. Do one difficult thing every day. Not because suffering is noble. Because discipline is built through practice. You cannot wait until life becomes difficult to discover whether you are strong. Train before the storm. 5. Stop chasing people who do not value you. There is a particular kind of weakness that looks like love. It is desperation. You keep texting someone who keeps ignoring you. You keep explaining yourself to someone who has already decided what they believe. You keep trying to prove your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You keep returning to a place that repeatedly destroys your peace. Why? Because you are afraid of losing them. But sometimes losing someone is not losing. Sometimes it is finally getting yourself back. A man once spent months trying to repair a friendship that had become one-sided. He was always the one calling, always apologizing, always checking in. Whenever there was conflict, he was the one trying to fix it. One day he stopped. He did not announce it. He did not send an angry message. He simply stopped chasing. Days passed. Then weeks. The friend never called. That silence hurt. But it also answered the question he had been avoiding. He realized he had not been maintaining a friendship. He had been maintaining a connection that the other person had already abandoned. That realization was painful. But it was freeing. Never confuse persistence with self-abandonment. If someone consistently shows you that they do not value your presence, believe the pattern. You do not have to hate them. You do not have to revenge yourself. You do not have to make a dramatic exit. Sometimes strength looks like quietly stepping back. Your attention is valuable. Your time is valuable. Your emotional energy is valuable. Do not spend all three trying to convince someone to appreciate you. The right people will not require you to destroy your dignity just to remain in their lives. And remember, walking away does not mean you never cared. It means you finally understand that caring about someone does not require abandoning yourself. 6. Build discipline when nobody is watching. Anyone can appear disciplined when people are watching. The real test comes when nobody knows. When nobody will praise you. When nobody will punish you. When there is no audience. That is where character is built. Imagine two people working toward the same goal. One talks about it constantly. They post every plan. They tell everyone what they are going to accomplish. The second person says almost nothing. They simply work. Early mornings. Late nights. Quiet sacrifices. No applause. No announcement. Months later, the second person has results. The first person has explanations. That is the difference between wanting an identity and building one. A young athlete once trained in a nearly empty gym. There were no cameras. No fans. No coach sometimes. He could have done half the work. Nobody would have known. But he kept training. Years later, when competition came, people called him naturally talented. They did not see the thousands of boring repetitions. They saw the result. This is how your life works. People see confidence. They do not see the private battles that created it. They see success. They do not see the mornings you wanted to quit. They see discipline. They do not see the nights you chose your goal over temporary pleasure. Do not become addicted to being seen. Become addicted to becoming better. Your private habits eventually become your public identity. If you practice discipline privately, confidence eventually appears publicly. If you practice weakness privately, insecurity eventually appears publicly. So ask yourself, who am I when nobody is watching? That person is the real you. Build someone you are proud to meet in the mirror. 7. Learn to stand alone. Being alone and being lonely are not the same thing. Loneliness says, someone needs to save me. Solitude says, I can sit with myself. You need to become comfortable in your own company. Because if you cannot stand alone, you will accept almost anyone just to avoid feeling alone. You will stay in unhealthy relationships. You will tolerate disrespect. You will chase people who have already left. You will compromise your standards because silence scares you. That is expensive. Learn to walk alone. Eat alone sometimes. Work alone. Think alone. Take yourself somewhere without needing someone else to validate the experience. A man once lost nearly all of his close relationships after moving to a new city. At first, he hated it. Every weekend felt empty. He kept checking his phone. He waited for messages. Eventually, he became tired of waiting. So he started exploring the city alone. He found a small library. He began reading. He started running. He learned a new skill. He began writing his thoughts. Slowly, the silence stopped feeling like punishment. It became peace. And something unexpected happened. When he became comfortable alone, He became much more selective about who he allowed into his life. He no longer needed people. He wanted good people. That difference changed everything. Neediness makes you tolerate what you should reject. Self-sufficiency gives you the freedom to choose. You should love people. You should build relationships. You should connect. But never make another human being responsible for your entire sense of worth. You existed before them. You can exist after them. And most importantly, you must learn to exist fully within yourself. 8. Accept that life will not always be fair. This may be one of the hardest lessons you will ever learn. Life is not a courtroom. You will not always receive justice. Good people sometimes suffer. Bad people sometimes succeed. You can work hard and still lose. You can do everything correctly and still experience disappointment. You can love someone deeply and still lose them. You can prepare carefully and still fail. If you demand that life always be fair before you allow yourself to move forward, you will remain stuck. Strength begins when you accept reality without surrendering your standards. A businessman once spent years building a company. He worked honestly. He paid his workers. He treated customers well. Then a larger competitor entered the market and crushed his business. He lost almost everything. For months he was angry. He kept asking, "Why me?" Eventually, he realized that the question was not helping. So he changed the question. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen?" he asked, "What can I build from what remains?" That question changed his life. He sold what he could. He reduced his expenses. He learned from the failure. He started again. The second business was smaller, but it was stronger. He later said the first business taught him how to make money. The failure taught him how to survive. Sometimes life gives you lessons you never asked for. You do not have to like the lesson, but you can learn from it. Stop demanding that reality match your expectations. Work with reality. If the door closes, look for another. If the plan fails, build a new plan. If someone leaves, grieve and continue. If you lose, learn. If you fall, rise. The strongest people are not those who experience no hardship. They are those who refuse to waste hardship. 9. Stop comparing your life to everyone else. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy peace. You see someone's success and forget their struggle. You see someone's money and ignore their debt. You see someone's relationship and ignore what happens privately. You see someone's body and forget their years of training. You see someone's achievement and forget that you are looking at their chapter 20 while comparing it to your chapter 3. A young woman once spent every night scrolling through social media. Everyone seemed successful. Someone bought a car. Someone got married. Someone traveled. Someone started a business. Someone became famous. She began to believe she was behind. Then she deleted the apps for 30 days. At first, the silence felt strange. Then something happened. She started hearing her own thoughts again. She realized she had been measuring her life against images. She began focusing on her own progress. After a year, she had developed skills, improved her finances, strengthened her body, and built healthier relationships. She was no longer asking, "Am I ahead of them?" She was asking, "Am I better than I was yesterday?" That is the comparison that matters. Your competition is not the person across the street. Your competition is the version of you who keeps making the same excuses. Compare your discipline today to your discipline yesterday. Compare your courage today to your courage yesterday. Compare your habits today to your habits yesterday. That is measurable. That is useful. That can make you stronger. Do not let someone else's highlight reel become evidence that your life is failing. Your journey is yours. Your timeline is yours. Your responsibility is yours. Stay focused. 10. Keep going when motivation disappears. Motivation is useful. But motivation is unreliable. It comes. It goes. One day you wake up inspired. The next day you want to quit. If your progress depends on how you feel, your progress will always be unstable. Discipline takes over when motivation leaves. A man decided to write a book. The first week was exciting. He wrote pages every morning. By the third week, the excitement disappeared. The writing became difficult. He began questioning the idea. He thought about quitting. But he had made one rule. I will write something every day, even if it is only one paragraph. Some days he wrote 5 pages. Some days he wrote 1 paragraph. Some days the writing was terrible. But he continued. Months later, the book was finished. The final result looked impressive. But the real achievement was not the book. It was the person he became while finishing it. He learned that he could continue without feeling inspired. That lesson followed him everywhere. This is what you need. You cannot control your mood every morning. You cannot control whether you feel excited. But you can control whether you keep the promise. When motivation disappears, return to your routine. When confidence disappears, return to your preparation. When enthusiasm disappears, return to your purpose. You do not need to feel powerful to act powerfully. Sometimes action comes first. Confidence comes later. Take the next step. Then the next. Then the next. One day you will look back and realize that the distance between who you were and who you became was created by thousands of small decisions nobody saw. Keep going. Keep going. 11. Stop running from failure. Failure is not your identity. Failure is information. You tried something. It did not work. Now you know something you did not know before. That is valuable. But weakness turns failure into identity. I failed, therefore I am a failure. Strength says, I failed. What did I learn? A young entrepreneur started his first business at 22. He invested his savings. The business failed within a year. He was devastated. He felt embarrassed. He stopped answering calls because he did not want people asking questions. For months, he avoided trying anything new. Then one day he looked at his old business records. He noticed something. The business had not failed because he was incapable. It failed because he had made several predictable mistakes. He had not understood his customers. He had spent too much too early. He had no emergency reserve. He had confused enthusiasm with preparation. The failure had given him a map. So he tried again. The second business survived. The third grew. Years later, he understood that his first failure had been expensive education. You will fail. You will make foolish decisions. You will trust the wrong person. You will choose the wrong opportunity. You will say the wrong thing. You will procrastinate. You will lose money. You will make mistakes. Do not waste the experience by turning it into shame. Study it. What went wrong? What did you ignore? What would you do differently? What did the failure reveal about you? Then move. The goal is not to become someone who never fails. The goal is to become someone who learns quickly. 12. Protect your time. Weak people often give their time away without realizing its value. Hours disappear into meaningless arguments. Days disappear into entertainment. Weeks disappear into gossip. Months disappear into waiting for the perfect moment. Then one day they look back and wonder where their life went. Your time is your life. When an hour disappears, you do not get that hour back. You can earn more money. You can replace possessions. You can rebuild a career. But you cannot purchase yesterday. A man once spent years saying he was too busy to work on his dreams. One evening, he calculated how much time he spent on his phone. The numbers shocked him. Several hours every day. He had enough time. He had been giving it away. So he created boundaries. He stopped checking his phone during work. He limited meaningless conversations. He stopped saying yes to everything. He began using his mornings for important work. Within months, his productivity changed dramatically. The lesson was simple. You do not always need more time. Sometimes you need fewer distractions. Protect your mornings. Protect your attention. Protect your sleep. Protect your peace. You do not owe everyone instant access to you. Being available every second does not make you valuable. Being intentional makes you valuable. Ask yourself, what deserves my attention? Who deserves my time? What activities are moving my life forward? What am I doing simply because I am bored? Then make changes. Your future is being built with the hours you are spending today. Spend them carefully. 13. Keep your word to yourself. There is a quiet relationship you have with yourself. Most people ignore it. But it determines how confident they become. Every time you say, I will wake up early. I will exercise. I will stop doing this. I will finish that. And then repeatedly break your promise, something happens. You stop trusting yourself. You may still talk confidently. You may still tell other people what you plan to do. But deep inside, you know your own word means very little. The opposite is also true. Every time you make a promise and keep it, you build self-trust. A man decided to make one small promise. He would walk for 20 minutes every evening. Nothing dramatic. No extreme transformation. Just 20 minutes. The first week was easy. The second week was harder. One rainy evening, he wanted to skip. But he remembered his promise. So he walked. Nobody knew. Nobody cared. But he knew. And that mattered. After several months, he began making bigger promises. He started exercising. He started saving. He started reading. He started waking earlier. The walking habit had become evidence. Evidence that he could trust himself. You do not need to change your entire life tonight. Start with one promise. Make it small enough that you can keep it. Then keep it. Tomorrow, keep it again. And again. Soon you will look at yourself differently. Not because someone told you that you are strong. Because you have evidence. 14. Learn to say no. Every yes has a cost. When you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. Yes to another meaningless argument can mean no to peace. Yes to another unnecessary commitment can mean no to your priorities. Yes to another distraction can mean no to your goals. Weakness often comes from being afraid to disappoint people. Strength understands that disappointment is sometimes necessary. A man was known as the person everyone called when they needed help. Need money? Call him. Need a favor? Call him. Need someone to cover your responsibilities? Call him. He always said yes. Eventually, he became exhausted. His own work suffered. His finances suffered. His relationships suffered. Then he learned to say, I can't do that. At first, he felt guilty. Some people became upset. But eventually, something changed. People started respecting his boundaries. And he started respecting himself. You do not have to be available for every request. You can be generous without becoming a resource people exploit. You can help others without destroying yourself. No is not cruelty. Sometimes it is wisdom. 15. Stop explaining yourself to people who have decided not to understand. There are people who will misunderstand you no matter how carefully you explain. You can provide evidence. You can give context. You can repeat yourself. You can defend every detail. And they may still choose the version of you that fits their story. Stop exhausting yourself. A man was accused of something he had not done. He spent hours trying to convince everyone that he was innocent. Some people listened. Others did not. He kept explaining. Eventually, someone close to him said, You have already told the truth. You do not have to control what everyone believes. That sentence gave him peace. Your responsibility is to act with integrity. You cannot control everyone's interpretation. Sometimes your behavior over time will speak louder than your explanation. Let it. Silence does not always mean weakness. Sometimes silence means, I know who I am, and I do not need to argue with every opinion. 16. Stop feeding your worst habits. You cannot build a powerful mind while constantly feeding the habits that weaken it. If you spend hours consuming negativity, do not be surprised when your mind becomes negative. If you constantly avoid difficult tasks, Do not be surprised when discipline feels impossible. If you constantly seek cheap stimulation, do not be surprised when meaningful work feels boring. Your mind adapts to what you repeatedly give it. A young man realized that every morning he began his day with his phone. Before getting out of bed, he consumed hundreds of opinions, news, arguments, videos, messages, other people's lives. By the time he started his own day, his mind was already exhausted. He changed one thing. For the first hour of the morning, no phone. He drank water, walked, read, planned his day. At first, it felt uncomfortable. Then it became normal. His attention improved. His mornings became calmer. His work became better. You do not have to eliminate every pleasure, but you need to control your consumption. Ask, does this make me stronger? Does this make me wiser? Does this help me build? Or does it simply keep me distracted? Your habits are not neutral. They are shaping you. 17. Master the art of delaying gratification. Weakness wants everything now. Strength can wait. The ability to delay pleasure for something greater is one of the foundations of achievement. You want the money now, but saving creates freedom later. You want the body now, but training requires months. You want success now, but mastery requires years. You want respect now, but character takes time. A student once had an important examination coming up. His friends wanted him to go out every night. He wanted to join them, but he had a goal. So he studied. Not because studying was exciting, because his future mattered more than his temporary comfort. When the results came, he achieved what he had worked for. The parties had disappeared. The sacrifice remained as opportunity. This is the trade. You give up something today so tomorrow can become different. You cannot have every pleasure immediately and still expect extraordinary results. Choose. Comfort now or progress later? Attention now or achievement later? Discipline now or regret later? Every day, you are choosing. 18. Do not let rejection define you. Rejection hurts. Do not pretend otherwise. But rejection is not always a verdict on your worth. Sometimes it means, not now. Not this person. Not this opportunity. Not this direction. A young man applied for a job he desperately wanted. He was rejected. He felt humiliated. For days, he believed the company had proven he was not good enough. Then he applied elsewhere. He was rejected again. And again. But he kept improving his skills. Eventually, another company hired him. Years later, he became highly successful in that field. The original rejection had not been a final judgment. It had simply been one closed door. Do not turn one rejection into a permanent identity. Someone can reject your application. They cannot define your potential. Someone can reject your love. They cannot determine your worth. Someone can reject your idea. They cannot determine whether you should continue improving. Take rejection. Learn from it. Then keep moving. 19. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is often an illusion. You will never have perfect confidence, perfect finances, perfect knowledge, perfect circumstances, perfect support. If you wait for everything to align, you may wait forever. A woman wanted to start a business. She kept saying, I need more money. Then, I need more knowledge. Then, I need better equipment. Then, I need more confidence. Eventually, she realized she could start smaller. So she did. Her first attempt was imperfect. But it taught her. She improved. The next attempt was better. Then better. Eventually, she built something meaningful. The first step was not impressive. It was simply necessary. Your first video may not be perfect. Your first workout may not be impressive. Your first business may fail. Your first attempt may embarrass you. Do it anyway. You do not become ready and then begin. Often, you begin and become ready along the way. 20. Become the person who does not quit on themselves. This is where everything comes together. You can lose money. You can lose opportunities. You can lose relationships. You can lose status. You can lose confidence. But there is one thing you must protect: your willingness to continue. There was a man who experienced one setback after another. His business failed. His relationship ended. He moved back home. He felt embarrassed. People who once praised him stopped calling. For months, he believed his life was over. One morning, he stood in front of the mirror and said, "I may have lost a lot, but I have not lost the ability to start again." That became his turning point. He started with almost nothing. One workout. One application. One book. One conversation. One small improvement. Then another. Years later, his life looked completely different. But the transformation did not happen in one dramatic moment. It happened because he refused to abandon himself. That is the final lesson. Do not abandon yourself because life became difficult. Do not abandon yourself because someone left. Do not abandon yourself because you failed. Do not abandon yourself because progress is slow. Do not abandon yourself because you are tired. Rest. Cry. Regroup. Learn. Ask for help when you need it. But do not permanently surrender. You are allowed to have bad days. You are allowed to feel weak. You are allowed to struggle. But you cannot make weakness your identity. Final message. Now listen carefully. Stop being weak. Not weak in the sense of having emotions. Not weak in the sense of asking for help. Not weak in the sense of being kind. There is strength in kindness. There is strength in vulnerability. There is strength in admitting when you are wrong. There is strength in asking for help. But there is also a dangerous kind of weakness. The weakness of constantly making excuses. The weakness of needing everyone's approval. The weakness of allowing anger to control your actions. The weakness of quitting every time something becomes uncomfortable. The weakness of chasing people who do not value you. The weakness of breaking promises to yourself. The weakness of waiting for someone else to save you. That is the weakness you must destroy. You do not need to become a different human being overnight. You need to make stronger decisions today. Wake up when you said you would. Do the work. Keep your word. Control your reaction. Walk away from disrespect. Say no when necessary. Stop begging for attention. Stop comparing. Stop waiting. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Stop letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. Build your body. Build your mind. Build your character. Build your skills. Build your discipline. Build your peace. And remember this: nobody can build your inner steel for you. You have to build it yourself. Every difficult morning adds a layer. Every disciplined decision adds a layer. Every rejection you survive adds a layer. Every time you walk away instead of reacting adds a layer. Every time you keep your promise when nobody is watching adds a layer. Every failure you learn from adds a layer. Every time you choose long-term strength over short-term comfort, you add another layer. One day, people will look at you and wonder how you became so calm. How you became so disciplined. How you stopped reacting. How you stopped begging. How you became comfortable alone. How you learned to walk away. They may call it confidence. They may call it maturity. They may call it luck. But you will know. You built it. Quietly. Painfully. Daily. You built it when nobody was watching. You built it when you wanted to quit. You built it when you were afraid. You built it when you were disappointed. You built it when you had no applause. You built it because you finally understood that your life would not change until you changed the way you lived it. So stand up. Take responsibility. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Your next chapter begins with the decision you make today. And if today you decide, I will become stronger, then make that decision real. Not with words. With action. One decision. One habit. One disciplined morning. One difficult conversation. 1 hour of focused work. 1 workout. 1 page. 1 rejection survived. 1 temptation resisted. 1 promise kept. Then tomorrow, do it again. And again. And again. Until the person you once wanted to become is no longer a dream. It is you. This is Inner Steel. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Inner Steel and become part of a community committed to discipline, strength, self-respect, and mental toughness. Do not just listen to these words. Live them. Because the world does not need another person who talks about becoming strong. It needs people who actually become strong. So stop waiting. Stop complaining. Stop chasing. Stop quitting. Stop doubting every step. Stand up. Take control. Build yourself. And remember, you do not need an easier life. You need a stronger mind. You need stronger habits. You need stronger standards. You need stronger discipline. And most importantly, you need to stop abandoning yourself. Your life is still being written. Make the next chapter powerful. Make it disciplined. Make it fearless. Make it yours. This is Inner Steel. Stay strong. Stay disciplined. Stay unbreakable.